All for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Paddy. He's just got his face all done, the whole lot he's been, and he's gotten so much plastic surgery that this is the new Paddy. It's obviously not. This is the wonderful Gary from Every Week We Follow podcast. I'm delighted to have him on, first time on the show tonight, Gary, and welcome aboard the Crazy Train.
Yeah, Neil, thanks for having me, mate. I appreciate the invite, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
So I suppose before we get into the Wolves thing, I have Gary here for a very specific reason as well, because look, as everybody knows, there's lots of great Aston Villa content creators out there, I've always wanted to connect with every single person who does a podcast, and I say Gary does the Every Week We Follow podcast there as well, and there's so many more. And as everybody knows, I am useless on TikTok. I am useless on Instagram. And I need somebody to guide me on the ways of dancing on social media, because I'm not very good at it. But we're going to collaborate a small bit with or a big bit, I suppose, with a couple of other creators. With Amy Finley, with Justin, with I'm going to forget loads of them now. I do apologize, with Sam from True Adventures as well.
Yep.
A couple of more, and I do apologize to anybody else that I've forgotten. Paddy's going to be involved. We're going to be doing a small bit on TikTok and on Instagram, just I suppose to help spread Aston Villa more so than anything else, under a kind of a moniker called the Holt Hub. And Gary is also a part of that as well. Gary, how are you feeling about that? Firstly, I suppose, before we get into the Wolves.
Yeah, mate, I'm really buzzing to be part of it, if I'm honest. I think it's difficult to get people round a table as it is. We've done a couple of things with Sam and Rich from the Villa Park podcast as well. They've done like a round table and got other people on, and that's worked really well. And I said to Sam on that, it'd be great if we could have a platform where we could all get together more and talk about the Villa, because we've all got valid opinions, and like you say, there's great content being created individually. So why can't we do something collectively, and see where that takes us? I think it's like when Amy messaged me, I was like, that's so weird, because I've just been talking to Sam about the same thing, and you've now suggested it. So yeah, let's get on board and see what happens, because at the very least, it's a platform for us all to get talking, and like you say, promote the Villa. So I'm all in, mate. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there isn't enough people in this world for me to talk to about Aston Villa genuinely on a one-to-one basis or whatever. So I was delighted as well to get connected with a lot of other Villa content creators. Like, obviously, I go on Dan Bardell's podcast and stuff, and I've been on the whole cast that I've been in up to Villa. All those kind of things. They're fantastic, super creators as well. But everybody, there's loads. There's a massive almost Villa sphere out there of creators, and we follow Aston Villa and to grow the brand. Watch me talking about grow the brand of Aston Villa or whatever, but you know what I mean. It only takes one kid somewhere in the world to watch something on TikTok specifically, I suppose, and they go, hey, that looks like kind of a cool club, or that fella looks like Santa Claus, I'm going to follow that club, whatever the case may be. So it's
subscribers go through the roof this month, mate.
Oh yes. Well, actually, do you know what? It's probably a bad idea looking like Santa Claus around Villa Park anyway at Christmas time, because that poor man that parachuted in, although he did find the love of his life afterwards, so maybe
he did.
Wait a minute, watch me crossing my fingers now, and I got married in April. Jesus, if she watches this, she's gonna give me. She's going to sling me out. Anyway, let's get to matters, I suppose. Yeah. Maybe more pressing. I don't know. Is there anything more pressing than spreading the word of Aston Villa around the place? But Villa do play against Wolves this weekend.
They do.
If any of you have neglected to notice. And I have a Villa AM coming out in the morning, a press conference where I watched the press conference and I talk about it. And Unai Emery called it a small derby. And that was the exact kind of movement. Small derby. And on this podcast, we always say it's not a derby, but it's easy for us to say it sitting over here in Ireland. Where do you stand on the derby part there? Because I've had Ty Bracey here as well, and he lived closer to the Black Country, and he said it's definitely a bloody derby. It's definitely one.
Well, mate, I find it fascinating, and maybe this is why Wolves and West Brom fans absolutely hate us, because I generally don't think of them You know, I don't. It's
Yeah.
kind of their derby is West Brom, and
Yeah.
I don't. It's so weird that we tried to get a couple of Wolves fans onto our podcast today, right? And I've been chasing this week, and they refused to come on because it was a Villa podcast. I said no. Like, it's just kind of, and it's really interesting because we've through the work we've done with Finalysis, we've managed to get hold of loads of people that are involved with clubs and doing content. So most of them have been kind of forthcoming and wanting to come on and chat about their team and stuff. And, you know, I think it's the fact that Wolves are doing so poorly. Let's be honest, they look absolutely terrible, don't they? That they don't really want to kind of have us gloating in their faces, I guess. And not that we were that kind of way. But, yeah, I don't see it as a derby, mate, if I'm honest. I never have. I just think it's kind of one of those where, yes, it's local to us. And but I don't know, for so long we didn't compete in the same league. Then they overtook us temporarily when Nuno was in charge, and they had a really great squad. And actually, I remember speaking to a mate of mine who is a Wolves fan, and saying, I'm slightly envious of you. That's where I want Villa to be, because I think it was, 2015, 16 time, and we were, just falling apart, really. And they were with us, and then they just kind of overtook and carried on going, and we stayed in the doldrums, really. And so, yeah, I don't see it as a derby. I just see it as a hopefully an easy 3 points on Sunday, mate. That's what I'm hoping for.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed, because it's funny. Like I believe in superstition for myself, but I think other people are stupid to believe in superstition. So like that's, and hey, look, it's free world. I'm allowed to feel that way. But when people talk about the rule book gets thrown out the window on Derby Day. First of all, if you don't believe it's Derby, then can the rule book really get thrown out the window? I suppose that's the other side of it. But playing against Wolves has thrown up a couple of clangers for Villa in the past. Now, evidently, it's been at Molyneux really where that's happened. And I remember, was it one of the games where we had just come back out of COVID, or they just allowed fans into the stadium again, and Villa were 2-0 up, and they ended up losing 3-2. And I remember Paddy and Stephen were in the whole end that day, and I was like, oh crap, how am I going to do a post-match podcast there? How do you are you feeling confident for the weekend?
Well, I mean, yes, I am feeling confident because it's at Villa Park. I just think our record at home is absolutely phenomenal. And there's been I've had a couple of comments today on TikTok about how, there's been upsets and talking about that 2-0 game and how they beat us last season at Molyneux. And, they weren't down to really do anything against us then, but did. So, it could throw a spanner in the works for us. But I just think at home, mate, this game is massively important for us because of the run of fixtures we've got in December. I think, if we win on Sunday, it gives us a real momentum going into that Brighton game and then facing Arsenal 3 days later, So, and I said this to James on the podcast last night when we were on the way to the Young Boys game, that, if, and it's a big if, right? But if at the end of December, after playing Arsenal twice and Chelsea and Man United in that run of fixtures in December, if we pick up points, then we were there and thereabouts in the top 4 or 5. Could we finish even higher? Are you talking about a title challenge? Maybe it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think that's for 1 second. But stranger things have happened, and I had a dream last week that basically watching Unai Emery steal the title off Arsenal, even though because Arsenal should win this league. They look by far the best team. They're comfortable, but stranger things have happened in football, mate.
Yeah. No, look, it's now is the moving part. Well, I suppose really during December is the moving part of the season. That's when, Villa did some, like, you remember when we got the Champions League, we had that brilliant month of December, albeit we didn't get the job done against Sheffield United. And I think that's another reason why Unai Emery was very pragmatic in his press conference as well today, which, talking about consistency and stuff. But, Villa had those 2 wins against Arsenal and Man City in the space of, 3 days or something along those lines. And in December, exactly. Yeah. So, Villa can eke out something along those lines and get points where we're not expected to, but obviously putting points on the board this weekend, because like there is a possibility Villa could be in second place after this round of games this weekend. Just throwing it out there. Now I know Man City are playing Leeds this weekend. Chelsea play Arsenal, They're the two teams that are ahead of us, so that's another reason why we need to win this, I suppose, really, to gain ground on those two guys, keep ground back from the teams that are chasing because of the concertina effect from 14th up to third, I suppose, really,
third,
at this stage. And that's why this game is so important. It gives you the breathing space in December to maybe drop a point or two if because we're not going to be bloody perfect. We never have been. There's games that we're going to hit us around the side of the head. There's also games where we're going to be coming away from it afterwards going, that is one of the best wins and unexpected wins we've had. So it's going to be swings and roundabouts, but
well, mate, who would have thought after the first 5 games that we'd be having this kind of conversation about potentially being second in December? Yeah. I think it shows, one, how good Unai is, because I genuinely thought at the start of the season, I thought, is there something wrong? Like, with all the speculation that had gone on, look, it looked like the wheels had come off. Martinez was going to leave, Watkins was going, Rodgers is going, and you just think, hang on, we're losing the spine of our team here. What is going on? Is Unai going to walk? And then all of a sudden, I think I put this down to a lot of John McGinn, really. I think he kind of grabbed us by the scruff of the neck and dragged us through the next few games and got us firing again. And then players have just started to find a little bit of form. Now, we haven't really been at the top of our game yet. Like, we've won the 5 out of 6, like, kind of doing it a little bit dirty. Do you know what I mean? In terms of which something like I'm not used to. Like, I think that game last night against Young Boys is a prime example. Often we probably would have conceded a late equaliser there, but we took our foot off the gas a little bit. The change had made it. We lost the rhythm of the game a little bit, but we held on. And it's the same with the Leeds game. I thought we didn't play particularly well. We were sloppy, in particular in the first half in that game. Substitutions made a difference. When Marlon came on, the impetus, the pacing behind it, it caused them all kinds of problems. So I just think Sunday's game is one of those where I think if we just get the job done and move on, it doesn't have to be necessarily. I mean, what I'd love ideally is just to wipe the floor with them. They've got 2 points on the board, mate. They've looked awful all season, and they're in disarray. So you think, actually, go at them. They're there for the taking. But at the same time, maybe they will be up for it because it is a derby for them. I think they're going to be
new
more
manager
looking at it like that. New manager bounce. But I said this earlier today as well, that the new manager bounce is Rob Edwards. And as much as I admire him for what he did with Luton in the Championship and got them up, he's just a Championship manager. I think they've employed him because they're expecting to go back down, and he's probably one of the top managers to get them back up. That's my opinion on that one.
And he's bloody gorgeous as well. That's another reason. I think
beautiful human man, beautiful.
Getting the 2026. Getting the 2026 calendars reprinted again, I think, in Wolves' shop. I think that's what's happening already. Might as well do like 6 months of topless Rob Edwards, and then they'll sell like hotcakes. But no, but like Rob Edwards did a great job at Luton. Was doing a great job with Middlesbrough as well. Had them second at the table at the time he left. And Middlesbrough fans certainly did not want to see him go there. Obviously, the man has a foot in both camps in Villa, but he's a foot in Aston Villa's camp previously as well. And I don't have any animosity certainly towards him. I hope he does a great job at Wolves, but they have a serious job to do to stay up. And
100%.
I can't see it happening. They've been circling the drain for the last 2 or 3 years, really. Call a spade a shovel. They really have. But Gary O'Neill coming when he was there, he kept him up, and it's been one of those. They've been one of those teams that really haven't been able to strengthen their board and stuff like that. Are not particularly liked in comparison to us. Where we absolutely revere our 2 owners and our management structure. So it's a difficult situation for them. And you mentioned about Daniel Mallon, I suppose, there a moment ago, with regards to him being a catalyst against Leeds and obviously getting the 2 goals.
Yeah.
Are we thinking he has to start at the weekend, and where would you start him?
I think 100% yes, mate. I think Unai is running out of excuses not to start him now. I understand, that he's trying to play Ollie into form, but Ollie's whatever. There's something fundamentally wrong with Ollie Watkins at the moment. I think it goes deeper than the football. I think there's something that he's not happy about. I've watched him. I've tried to watch him really closely, and I think his mind's elsewhere. Because he's not doing the basics of what he's always done really well, which you're going to get graft from him. He's going to put people on the back foot. He's going to run the channels. He offers you something, and just against Leeds and against Young Boys, honestly, it looked like he didn't want to be there. The difference between him and Marlon was night and day yesterday in terms of the pace and the anticipation of what's happening in the play. He's just void of it. For me, Marlon, every time I've watched him play, mate, now I can't say to you that Marlon's a better player than Watkins and will go on and be a top goal scorer for us, because I've only seen him play so few minutes, but every time he has, he makes something happen. He assists, he scores. He's so direct in his play that he causes defences trouble against whoever he plays against. The only time he hasn't really done anything is in a couple of starts when he played against Brentford. He looked a little bit isolated, and but at the same time, I said this at the time when he played against Brentford. He knows he's not going to be starting the next game, so you go. It doesn't matter how well I play. I'm still getting replaced. So if that happens now on Sunday, after the Leeds performance when he came on and changed his 2 goals yesterday, like he himself must be asking Unai questions, going, "What have I got to do to get a start in the starting 11?" And I would, people have said numerous times that he can't play as a number 9. I think there was a great article in The Athletic by Jacob Tanswell about how he's not really a number 9, doesn't play as a number 10, and isn't wide, so he works better as a second striker. So we did it against Burnley, I think, where we played with both Holly and Marlon, and it worked really, really well.
And against Leeds.
And against Leeds. And actually, when Watkins went out onto the left, it looked good for 20 minutes or so, and then they took Watkins off. And so, yeah, mate, I'd like to see him play both. And you could argue against Wolves, you could do that, because our Wolves aren't going to offer the threat that, well, even Leeds did. I think Leeds were at home and they're going to come out. So I can't imagine Wolves' game plan being, right, press us high and try and beat us that way, because I think we'd be too good to play through their press. I imagine they're going to turn up and do what Young Boys did and just try and play 9 at the back.
And the thing about Wolves is, I think you can play them out there because, look, there was a time when Wolves had really, really good fullbacks. Like, I mean, maraudingly, like Aitnouri and all those guys, that you were kind of going, right, we got to Semedo on the other side. They don't have those 2 guys anymore. Yes, they've got good players, don't get me wrong, but they don't have Aitnouri and they don't have Semedo there anymore. And maybe you can have a crack, and maybe that's been one of the biggest reasons, I think, for them. Like, the creativity is kind of, I won't say it's gone out the window for them, but it's not been as prevalent, that creativity from those positions, since those 2 players have left. So even if you do play Malin on that right hand side, and if you start him there instead of Gassand, or what do you do with McGinn then becomes the big question. What do you do with Buendia? So there are all those questions of structure and functionality that Unai Emery always has in the back of his mind. But if you can't do it now, I don't it's debatable. Then you probably have to start them in the number 9 position and see what happens. So it's going to be an interesting team sheet.
Yeah, it will be. And I think he's a little bit stubborn, isn't he? So I think he's not, like, he's only done that once before, or if you count the Leeds second half where he changed it, so at least he changed it. But he likes his system, doesn't he? And with McGinn, the way he's been playing, arguably Buendia's been great as well. So, do you really want to take one of those out of the team? Probably not. Rodgers is never getting dropped, mate. I think Rodgers could lose a leg and he'd still start. And so it is the debate of, is it Watkins or is it Marlon up front? And I think even if you're going to play him as a number 9, I think he proved that he could do that. He did it yesterday really well, I thought. I think from minute 1, like, he was direct. I think we kicked off Rodgers' little ball over the top. He was running in behind, nearly got onto it. And he was a constant threat throughout the whole game. So I would like to, in a game like this, where there's a lot of football to be played now between now and the end of December. So it's an opportunity to try working them together, like we did against Leeds and like we did against Burnley. And if it doesn't work, then change it at half time. I'm just looking through the Wolves squad, mate, and I'm thinking, what threat are they going to realistically offer against us? And it's the first time I can say that I look at a Wolves team and I don't know any of their players. Like, I could always, like, last year it was Cunha, and you've had players throughout the seasons that have kept them there because they've had a little bit of quality. And it was Cunha last year that kind of did us at Molineux. But I looked through their squad, and the only person I know is Sam Johnson in goal. That's because he played for us.
Yeah,
and so I think this is a game where I think we should win it comfortably. I'd love us to kind of really go out all out attack, play with the 2 strikers, get some early goals, put it to bed, and let us just relax. And you can change it however you want then in the second half, and just enjoy the plaudits, of having a bit of depth to our team, maybe. And maybe I think the big thing is, if he's going to continue with Watkins, I said this before yesterday's game, these two games, Young Boys and Wolves, is a massive opportunity against, weaker opposition, really, who are, Young Boys have conceded 36 goals. Wolves have, they haven't won a game. It's there for the taking, right, to build confidence. And so it's a great opportunity for Watkins to do that. And as much as I've hated on Watkins in the last few weeks, I want him to do well. We need him to do well. If we're going to have any realistic expectations of finishing Champions League places in league form or winning the Europa League, he's got to start hitting some form because, 1 goal in this season and I think it's 5 goals in 34 games now. It's not a return that's screaming, success for us. So we've got to try something different, in my opinion.
Yeah, and look, Unai Emery, like we're not always going to have this brilliant run of scoring from outside the box or being able to share the goals around the team as well. So, you do need to have a focal point somewhere along the line, even if it's only for 3-4 weeks, to get you out of that hole of not having to worry about, is Rodgers going to ping one in from a free kick from outside the box? Or, is John McGinn going to latch on to one that drops from a corner and ping it into the bottom corner? They're great and it's superb and they've gotten us to where we are now. It would be a miracle if that keeps going between now and the end of the season. Then again, everybody said it was going to be a miracle if Arsenal were going to continue to score from corners, and they are. So maybe it might be the season for miracles. All you got to do is look at where Liverpool are in the league.
Well, at the very least,
that's a miracle that they're down. Well, miracle is a miracle. Can a miracle be called a bad thing as well? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. It depends on how you look at it, right? But at the very least, mate, we've got a great chance of winning the goal of the season competition. Do you know what I mean?
At this rate, we should have at least 2 contenders for free kick of the season, but we'll see where that one goes. Do you make any other changes to the team, I suppose, from the team that went down against Leeds, Gary? Looking backwards. Tielemans now obviously proving his fitness. He's straight back in there again. Good problems to have in midfield. We almost have too many midfielders at the moment.
We do. I think the headache is I think Tielemans for me, mate. I thought he was. I gave man of the match to Marlon yesterday, but I thought Tielemans was absolutely superb. He was closing down. He made 2 defence splitting passes in the first half that we should have scored from. Vision that nobody else really has in the team, if I'm honest. I think he's arguably one of our best signings, close next to Kamara. Considering he was free, and he's just. I think when we lost Douglas Luiz and he came in, he didn't really get going straight away, did he? And it was the big question marks on him. But my word, like as this guy stepped up to the plate and looks the real deal. So I think he walked straight back in. But I guess the big question mark is: do you play him with Onana or Kamara? Now, for me, I think Tielemans and Kamara are our best 2 pivot midfielders. I think they work well together. I think they both offer very different things. But Onana's been brilliant. But the problem for Onana is that he keeps having 4-5 games, gets injured, and then he's out for a game. And he came back last night, looked great again. I just don't know if, like you say, we're sport for choice in midfield. So I think it's kind of whatever Unai feels is best for that. I think it will be Kamara and Tielemans. I think that's what I would go with. But I'd feel for Onana because I don't think he's really put a foot wrong apart from getting injured. And he's ultimately, we've paid £50 million for him. And at the start of the season, I was like, is he a £50 million player? There's someone that's spent more time on the physio table than in the starting 11. So yeah, it's a great kind of dilemma to have. I'm loving it really because it's something that we've probably struggled with before. People drop out. You've got likes of Ross Barkley as well, who've really impressed me in the last 3 or 4 games, mate. He's come on and actually made a difference in our play. So I don't think he will start, but I think he'll play some sort of part. I think the back 4 is an interesting one as well, mate, because it's the Dina Matson thing for me. I think the others will just pick itself. Obviously, no Tyrone Mings, so it'll be
clear winner in that for me. But go on, everybody watch this podcast. I think I'm going to pull a toenail out watching Ian Matson defend at some stage because Christ on a bike does he do some stupid things in defence. He's a very good player. Do not get me wrong. It's just it's a hang up I have because I watch so much of him when I'm going back to watch other things, seeing our build up is superb, brilliant. But like his legs go about 2 feet in front of the rest of his body sometimes when he's defending. But
it's weird because I think
he's learning. He's better. This time last year, I was like, this guy can't play Premier League football. Like But now he's obviously much better this year.
Yes, I think that's the point, right? I always look at for us in the last few seasons under Unai, you go, right, we've got a world-class manager, right? We know the restrictions of financially we've got, so we haven't been able to spend big. So it's about getting the best out of the players you've got. So year on year, you just want to see development. And this is my argument with Watkins. Like he's gone from like 2020 to 2023-24, where he was going woof, and then last two seasons just ticked off. Like he's looked a shadow of himself. Maatsen, like I with you, I thought it was a brilliant signing, and then you always question, are they going to adapt to the Premier League? And defensively, yeah, he was poor, and Digne stepped up. This year, I think he's been great, Maatsen. Not don't get me wrong, there's definite faults in his defensive capabilities, but I think he offers so much going forward. And like you say, he's learning this, and he's getting better. And so Digne's aging, and it's so difficult because how has Digne just continued to keep stepping up and doing it like
French wine, Gary? French wine.
French
just
wine,
gets better.
Mate.
Yeah.
Apparently, he beat his personal best sprint in training today. I saw that on the Villa website. I don't know what he's doing with his head. If you get a chance to watch that video, his head's doing some weird thing. I think he's just concentrating on running. He's like, it looks like his head's going to explode, but he does it, and he does this little dab thing. I thought, oh God, he's not 31. He's obviously 21. He's caught back in like 2007. But no, that's a good dilemma to have. And if you've noticed, I don't know if you have, but it tends to be that he swaps them the most regular. So he's obviously keen in developing Maatsen, because if one plays a whole game, then usually the next game the other one starts, or he'll swap them at on the 60, 65 minute mark. So it's clear that area is developing, right? And so I think against Wolves, you could argue that you'd go with Maatsen for the pace, because again, defensively, I don't think we're going to have to worry as much about them putting us under that pressure in pinning Maatsen back. And I've said it a couple of times when Maatsen's played with Sancho as well. Yesterday it worked really well. They link up really well. It's not perfect yet by any stretch of the imagination, mate. But that left-hand side is a bit of an issue for us. Since we lost JJ, and Buendia has been excellent this year. But you've played McGinn there. There's been Rodgers has played there occasionally. It has been a kind of who fits in that position naturally. And at the moment, you could say it's Buendia's to lose. And I think, if you're being technical, I think Buendia and Digne work better together than Maatsen and Buendia. So if he goes with Buendia, I assume it'll be Digne.
Yeah. And that's, I actually think I agree with you in that. And when we look at the Leeds game, before the Leeds game, I was like, this left-hand side is so pivotal. We have to get something going down this left-hand side. Yeah. And at halftime, he just changed up the left-hand side. Completely just changed the whole lot in the left-hand side, and just said, right, we it's not working for us here. We need to change it. And then we had a better second half. So it's he obviously is acutely aware of that. Of the dynamic that both fullbacks, I suppose, play, and how we build up, how we transition, and how toothless or aggressive our attack can be at times. So very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah.
Give us a prediction, Paddy. Paddy, Jesus Christ. I was joking at the start of the podcast, and now I've ended it with a Freudian slip. Give us a prediction, Gary. What way do you think it'll go?
Okay, mate. So I have two, because I always have a head and a heart prediction, right? So I'm going to give Wolves the benefit of the doubt and say it's their derby day. So I'm going to say we're going to. My head says we'll win 2-1. My heart says we're going to batter them 4-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 2-0 win, because just because I think that's been my most. It was 2-1 at the start of the season. Then I started going 2-0, and then we started winning 2-1 when I was saying 2-0. So, to be honest with you, I don't really care as long as we get wins. I'm going to be honest. I don't really care. And that's my MO from here on till the end of Christmas. Because things are going well so far.
Mate, if we win every game between now and the end of December 2-1 or 1-0, and we've played absolute dog shit, I'm happy.
Yeah,
because that's what it's about. It's a results-backed industry, right? And actually, just to build momentum and build confidence, like it's all about those results and having key moments. And actually, we've got players that can have moments in games that can change them. Rodgers, Buendia, Marlon, they've all got this capability of doing something. McGinn, they've like you say, for the first time actually in probably 3 seasons, it's great to that we're getting goals from elsewhere, because it's been Morgan Rogers or Ollie Watkins that we've relied on. We need to score more, don't we? Because goal difference is a major issue for us. It's cost us in the last 2 seasons. So let's hope we can just put the ball in the back of the net a few more times between now and then.
Yeah, that's 10-0 the weekend will go down.
Yeah.
Down great, wouldn't it? Listen, thanks so much, Gary, for your time tonight, everybody.
You're
Gary,
welcome,
as you check out Gary's podcast every week. We follow as well. It's on YouTube, and he does a lot of work on TikTok, where you're probably going to see a bit more of me over the next few weeks, as I say, as we get the whole hub up and running with Amy, with Justin, and with Sam, and geez, as I said, there's so many more. My head is fried at the moment, so I can't think. Apologies to anybody else, but so you'll see different faces on that, and essentially all it is just a different medium to just try and spruce up and keep things different, I suppose, on that platform as well, because that's where the most young people are, I suppose, really is on TikTok. And it's even though we might have a couple of old heads in this here, at least it's something that will come across somebody's timeline and maybe get some young kid around the world to go, do you know what, that club seems like it's pretty cool. And
I think we should have heard, didn't we, that if we're all under kind of one place to go, like if all people are watching us and anyway separately, then it's a platform where they're going to get our opinion together. So it's just another way of watching us. Which is not going to be a bad thing, right? So,
absolutely,
hopefully it's going to be successful, and people can get their content wherever they choose.
Exactly. Well, listen, Gary, thanks a million for jumping on tonight.
Cheers,
the two of us are babysitting at the moment, so
yes.
we are both we're both being good soldiers at the minute. So
living the dream on a Friday night, mate. Living the dream
on a Friday night. You said it, yeah. So I'm going to let you back to yours, and I'm going to go back to mine. But thanks so much, everybody. Go follow Gary and go follow every week we follow as well, guys. I have a ton of podcasts coming out tomorrow. You guys are going to hate me. I've got an Academy update coming out. I've got a press conference piece. We've got the Opera Research tomorrow night. If you guys haven't checked out our Opera Research, come join us. Come join us around the campfire, because essentially I just throw on Wolves podcast and I talk about when they're right and when they're wrong, and I give them a bit of a clipping in it as well. So it's we'll see what happens. I've 2 podcasts pre-watched, and I have a third one to watch tonight, and then I've picked out a couple of clips from them so we can discuss on those. Bit of crack anyway, if nothing else. And then on Sunday, Team Sheet Tantrum and post-match podcast. So as I say, everyone will be sick of me by the end of the weekend, and that's just what Aston Villa does to us. Exactly,
absolutely.
What Aston Villa does to us. Well, listen, we're going to log off on that. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching and for listening. As I say, go follow Gary, go follow his podcast as well. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is an up the Villa from me and an up the Villa from Gary.
Hey, up the Villa.
I was expecting you to go way more up the Villa on that one. No, I'll give you a second chance, Gary. Up the Villa. That's how I'd say.
Good luck. We follow the boys in Caraboo. There you go, mate.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.